My parents slid a $230,000 check across the table to my brother while looking straight at me and saying, "Leah, you'll never amount to anything." The whole family laughed like it was some sick joke, and my mom even whispered, "You're just a loser, honey. Accept it." My chest burned, but I didn't let them see me break. They thought I was empty-handed, that I had no backup, no future. But if only they knew what I was hiding. Before I continue, make sure to hit subscribe, share this story, and stick with me till the end. Because what I revealed later turned their smug faces into pure shock. That night I drove home in silence, replaying every cruel word they'd thrown at me. My brother David smirked as he pocketed the check, acting like he was the king of the family. My father toasted him, saying, "Finally, someone worthy to carry this family's name." Not once did they look at me. Not once did they remember how many nights I stayed up working jobs they mocked me for. But here's the thing. While they were laughing at me, I was building something in secret. A life they couldn't even imagine. And the cruel part? They were about to need me more than I ever needed them, because just 3 weeks after that dinner, my brother's new investment backfired so badly, the entire family's financial future was on the line. And that's when the phone started ringing, with my name on their lips. I let their calls go unanswered at first. Every ring felt like justice. The same parents who called me a loser were now desperate for the daughter they had dismissed. David had already blown through the $230K, pouring it into some shady real estate project his college buddy pitched him. Within days, the money was gone, and the only thing left was debt collectors knocking on their door. I knew they'd come crawling eventually. But what I didn't expect was how fast. My mom showed up at my apartment uninvited, her face pale, her voice shaking. "Leah, honey, we need your help." For a second, I wanted to slam the door in her face. The same lips that once told me I'd never succeed were now begging me for mercy. But I kept my voice calm. Help? From a loser like me? The silence after those words was priceless. She stammered something about family, about sticking together in hard times. My father called later, trying to mask his panic with authority. "Leah, don't be stubborn. You're the only one who can fix this mess." The irony? They had no clue how much power I was holding back. While they were mocking me for working embarrassing jobs, I had been quietly building an online business that exploded during the pandemic. My so-called side hustle had grown into a company pulling 6 figures every month. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had more than they could ever give me. Still, I wasn't ready to reveal my hand just yet. I wanted them to feel the same sting of rejection I had endured all my life. So I told them flatly, "I'm busy. I can't help you." And when I hung up, I swear I could almost hear the panic in their silence. But little did I know, my brother wasn't about to let it go. He showed up next, not begging, but threatening. And what he said at my doorstep left me frozen, realizing just how far he was willing to go. David barged into my place like he owned it, his eyes wild and his fists clenched. "Leah, don't play games with me," he growled. "You think you're better than us now? You think you can just sit there while our whole family falls apart?" I stood my ground, but my hands trembled. He had always been the golden child, the one praised for every little thing while I was treated like an afterthought. Now, stripped of his $230K cushion, he looked desperate, cornered, dangerous. "Better than you?" I finally said, my voice steady. "I've always been better. You just never noticed." That made him snap. He shoved a stack of unpaid bills into my chest. "If you don't pay this off, Mom and Dad could lose the house. You'd really let that happen?" His words were coated with guilt and manipulation, the same tactics he'd used on me since we were kids. But what cut me the most wasn't his anger. It was his next move. He leaned in close, lowering his voice. "If you don't help, I'll make sure everyone finds out about your little business. Don't think I don't know. You've been hiding money, haven't you? What will people say when they realize you abandoned your family while getting rich behind their backs?" My heart skipped. So he did know. Somehow he had caught wind of the empire I'd built in secret. For a moment, fear clawed at me. If he exposed me too soon, my plan to turn the tables on them publicly would be ruined. I needed the perfect moment, one where they couldn't twist the narrative, where they couldn't take credit for my success. So I forced a smile. "You want to expose me? Go ahead. But ask yourself this, David. When the truth comes out, who do you think the world will mock? Me, The loser who built an empire. Or you, the golden boy who burned $230K in less than a month. For once, he had no comeback. His jaw tightened, his hands shook, and I could see the fear creeping in. Because deep down, he knew I was right. Still, he wasn't finished. He left my apartment with a chilling warning. "Fine, Leah. If you won't help willingly, I'll drag you down with us." And the very next day, I found out he wasn't bluffing. My own family had set a trap for me, and it was going to be public. The trap came disguised as an invitation. My parents called, their voices unusually sweet, asking me to join a family dinner at my aunt's house. "It's just a gathering, Leah," my dad insisted. "We all need to talk things out." I almost laughed at the sudden warmth in their tone, but curiosity pushed me to agree. I knew them well enough to expect an ambush, but part of me wanted to see just how low they'd go. The moment I walked into the dining room, I felt it. The air heavy with judgment, eyes piercing through me like knives. My brother was already there, sitting smugly at the head of the table, his arm around a girl I'd never met. My parents flanked him like loyal guards, and then it began. David stood up, raising his glass. "Before we eat, I'd like to make a little announcement. My dear sister Leah has been keeping secrets from us." He pulled out his phone and started scrolling, projecting screenshots of my business website onto the TV in the room. "She's been hiding money, building some secret company while we've been struggling. And all this time she refused to help her own family." Gasps filled the room. Relatives shook their heads, whispering like I had committed a crime. My mom clutched her pearls dramatically, saying, "Leah, how could you betray us like this?" My father slammed his fist on the table, yelling, "You're selfish. You've always been selfish." It was a performance, a setup designed to humiliate me publicly, to paint me as the villain while they played the victims. For a moment, I felt the walls closing in, their words cutting like blades. My cheeks burned, my throat tightened, and everyone waited for me to break. But they didn't know I had been preparing for this. They thought they had me cornered, but I had come with proof, with power, with something so shocking that it would flip the entire room upside down. So I stood up slowly, letting the silence drag, my eyes scanning each face. And then, with the calmest voice I'd ever used, I said, "You want the truth? Fine. Let's give everyone here the whole truth." And what I pulled out of my bag made the entire room go silent, even David. I reached into my bag and laid down a thick leather folder on the table. The room went quiet, eyes glued to me, waiting for me to crumble. But instead, I flipped it open and slid the papers across the polished wood right in front of my father. "Since you all love public spectacles," I said, my voice steady, "let's make this one memorable." Inside were legal documents, proof of ownership, bank statements, and contracts. While you were busy calling me a loser, I built a company from scratch. This isn't a little side job. It's a registered corporation worth over $12 million. The air sucked out of the room. My aunt's jaw dropped. Cousins stared, frozen. My mother's hand shook as she reached for the papers, whispering, 12 million? But I wasn't finished. I pulled out another paper, a deed. And since David is so concerned about houses, here's one more thing. I bought the property you're living in, paid in full, which means technically you've been living in my house this whole time. The color drained from David's face. My father's anger turned into something I'd never seen before, fear. My mother stammered, "Leah, you wouldn't throw us out, would you?" I leaned forward, meeting her trembling eyes. "You threw me out years ago. You mocked me, dismissed me, called me worthless. And now you want me to save you?" I paused, letting the silence sting. "No, I don't owe you anything." David tried to recover, his voice cracking. You can't just cut us off. We're family." "Family?" I laughed bitterly. "Family doesn't humiliate you. Family doesn't call you a loser while handing $230K to your brother. Family doesn't set traps to ruin you." I straightened up, sliding the papers back into my folder. "You're not my family. You're strangers who taught me how strong I could be without you." And with that, I pushed my chair back, stood tall, and walked out. The room was dead silent. No insults, No fake apologies, just the weight of their own regret crushing them. That night, for the first time in years, I felt free. They had called me a loser, but I had walked out as the only winner. And as I closed the door behind me, I knew one thing for certain. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is silence and success.